This FC RX-7 has been sitting in a barn for over 14 years, and I've made it my life goal to get this baby back on the streets and fully restore it. In the last video I fixed some electrical issues and rebuilt the entire braking system. At least I tried. But today, well, we're going to rip out the entire engine for a rebuild. Now this is gonna be extremely fun because I'm not a professional mechanic and I've never pulled an engine out of a car, let alone rebuilt an engine in my entire life. But don't worry, I've watched exactly 3 YouTube videos on how to do it, so I'm basically a professional myself. Now I decided that it would be a good idea to first pull off all of the accessories like the intercooler, the intake manifold, so on and so forth, before I pull out the engine. This gives me just better access to everything in the hopes of making this super intriguing job a little bit, well, less intriguing. However, this also means that we will need a lot of these right here to label everything and to make sure that everything goes back together the way I took it out. I've decided to start taking out the most bulky parts first, and in this case, that's the intake and the airbox. Labeling everything is extremely important here to make sure I don't mix anything up, as I've never worked on this engine before. And already the engine bay looks much more accessible. Next up, the huge fan shroud, which proved to be a little tricky to remove. As the clutch fan was still installed, it was impossible to get the shroud out, and wiggling didn't help. Removing the radiator hose to have more space also didn't help. And after violently staring at it for way too long... Oh my god, hell yeah! Seriously, I've been fighting with this shroud for like half an hour. And the problem is that this car still comes with a clutch fan, like basically all of the 90s cars. I'm definitely gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna switch over to electric fans on the new radiator. This old radiator is also gonna be replaced. I thought, you know, while I'm at it, I can also just remove this old and nasty clutch fan. However, this is held in by 4 nuts down there, and there's one nut that I can't get off because it's completely stripped. This means that I have to find a different solution on how to remove this. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Doesn't matter, there are more than enough accessories that I can remove for now. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo, intercooler has to go. Removing the stock intercooler just involved removing 2 bolts on the left and 2 bolts on the right side, which are holding the intercooler to a bracket. After removing the fan shroud, this was definitely refreshingly easy. And last but not least, disconnect the silicone hoses. Seriously, why are these always so stubborn? Yay! That's 1. Alright, that's 2. Well, and there it is. FC, intercooler. This thing is super nasty. I'm definitely gonna have to clean this up. Oh, and I kind of need your help with something real quick. See, I want to turn the FC into this. This is the FC of Ryosuke Takahashi from the anime Initial D. And I want to turn it into a 1-to-1 replica from this anime. However, it's kind of difficult because, see, on the outside, it's pretty easy to buy all of the necessary parts. The lip, I can just look at it. I can look it up, buy it. The wheels, I can just look it up, buy them. However, for the interior, that's a totally different story. Because, see, in the anime, it's kind of difficult to make out which parts Ryosuke Takahashi is actually using for the interior of his FC RX-7. And this is why I need your help. If you know what kind of parts he's using on the FC, please let me know in the comments below. I already know which steering wheel I'm going for, and I've already ordered it actually, so we can tick that off. But for the seats and for the harness, in the anime you can't really make out which parts he's using. So, if you know what kind of parts he's running in the FC in the anime, please let me know in the comments below. And if you have any other suggestions on which seats I should buy, which harness I should buy, which cage I should maybe buy, also leave it in the comments below. Thank you for your help. Let's keep going. Next, we have to remove the old radiator. Simply loosen 2 bolts on the right and 2 bolts on the left, and disconnect the remaining coolant hoses. Okay, so far so good. Everything's disconnected. There's obviously still a bit of coolant in there. I'm just gonna drain that out once I get the radiator out in the hopes of not splashing coolant everywhere. But, fingers crossed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our old radiator. This goes into the bin. And after draining the last bit of coolant, we are done with the radiator. I mean, just look at how much space I have now. Seriously, I could actually stand in there. Told you. This kind of gives you an idea of how small this actual engine is. Just look at it. Like, I'm standing in the engine bay while the engine is still in here. That's awesome. All right, how am I gonna get out here again?
2 hours later.
And after removing a plethora of parts, draining all of the fluids and feeding the engine harness through the firewall, it is finally time to pull the engine. My God, guys, it's happening. It's my first engine pull. I'm super nervous, to be honest, but it's literally free. I can see the flywheel already. Oh, please, please just work. I'm really, really scared, to be honest, really. I think it's still stuck on the left engine mount there. Get this thing out. Well, and guys, there we have our 13B engine out of the car. This is my first engine pull ever, and I have to say it feels so crazy. I think anyone who's ever pulled an engine out of a car before can totally relate to that feeling. It's basically like doing a heart transplant, but never mind, I digress. Guys, seriously, you cannot believe how freaking excited I am about this engine being pulled. First of all, as I said before, I've never pulled an engine before, so this is a huge success for me and the first time ever. So I guess now I'm a real mechanic. I cannot believe that we got this engine out without any hiccups whatsoever. Like, literally nothing was stuck on the engine, no wires, no nothing. This is mainly because I literally just stuck to the workshop manual very strictly, and I made sure to disconnect every single thing before pulling this engine out. And just look at this engine bay. It's super dirty. The next step would be to definitely just clean this up and then give this baby a rebuild. And after all of the talking, let's strip the motor down to its bare minimum and free it from all the accessories, such as the intake and exhaust manifold, the turbo, and the famous rat's nest. We are almost down to the short block of the engine. I've removed a ton of parts already, as you can see down there. The clutch, the intake manifold, the infamous rat's nest, as well as the primary and secondary fuel rail. Now, I've stumbled across a small issue here, and if you look carefully at the intake manifold down there, you can see this gaping crack, which means that the exhaust manifold, which means that the exhaust manifold is basically complete toast. Now, I could weld this shut and make it work temporarily again, but anyways, I'm gonna continue freeing up the engine from all of its accessories, and then we are, well, gonna give it a full rebuild in one of the next episodes. But Actually, in the next episode, we're gonna take care of the interior of the FC. We're gonna completely transform it from old and original. And don't worry, I'm gonna keep all of the parts. So like in case I can always put the original parts back in, but we're gonna transform it into a completely new car. Stay tuned for that. And guys, I just wanna take a second to thank every single one of you who subscribed to the channel. It was just so insane. I was in Korea looking at the subscriber count and it just kept rising and rising and rising. I'm super happy that all of you seem to enjoy the FC content. So yeah, well, super thankful for that. And as always, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video and if you want to see more content like this on this channel, because there's plenty content coming up. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.